Well, the Swans are in the tunnel. They're just about to launch themselves out for another assault. And whilst it's been hyped up as a massive challenge for the Tigers, it's also a challenge for all the sides at the very pinnacle of the ladder, just to keep on the consistency that takes you to get that top four spot.
Well, I think it's a big game definitely for the Swans. The Swans have got Collingwood, Geelong and Hawthorn in the run home, so they really need to win today to try and consolidate that top four position. It's a big game for the Swans.
And the Swans know what's coming. They're renowned as that hard in and under and tackling side. So quite clearly everybody prepares to go to war against the Swans.
Ready to launch at the SCG. A real warm-up for the finals, the Sydney Swans and Richmond. Bang, we are underway. Mumford, who's returned to some form in recent weeks, got them going first, the Swans. Good physical stuff from Mitchell and also Newman. Would expect nothing less. O'Keefe, who was subbed off late last week with an injury, must be okay. He's out there. Hanbury tracks it down on the intersection of the 50. Fashions a sort of a handball back to Mitchell. Couldn't do a lot with it, as you saw. Tuck returns for his first game since round 7. And the Tigers are off. Ellis will tuck it and run and give to another hard runner. White, he's got the defensive job on Malcheski. Wouldn't it be powerful if he could kick a long goal? And that is full of power. The Tigers roar early.
Just to start, the Tigers wanted, and Roosie, you mentioned Matty White, he's the extra wheel in this Tiger machine, and his acceleration and his acceleration has just been so pivotal. The fact that him and Foley are back into this side suggests they bat really deep through midfield.
Yeah, I really like him. He's got genuine pace. He breaks things up, as we saw that here. I'll tell you what, the Vickery Shepherd was really important as well. He just knocked Malcheski off the ball. We can see it here. He comes in, Vickery, knocks him off the ball, and that's a really nice finish from White.
Lovely jump here, boys.
Gee, they did everything right then, the Tigers. The help that he got from Vickery was terrific, Rosie, as you mentioned.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like Chaplin has started on Tippett. I think Kingy suggested that before the game. We thought maybe Rance, but you've got Chaplin versus Tippett. But it is a good start by the Tigers. Just a couple of really critical tackles too. We talked about tackles before the game, Hutto. A couple of critical tackles on a few of the Swans boys by the Tigers resulted in that goal.
Merritt's another one who's just started to rediscover his form, but Mumford has his way early, and Jack, such a pivotal part of this midfield. Our first real look at Chaplin and Tippett. The follow-up work was great from Tippett and Mitchell, right in the thick of things so far. Bolton waits if it hits the ground. And there he is, trying to track it. Pike making his considerable physical presence felt. Bird, Tippett just saw the moment and improvised the best he could, but it's at the heart.
I think the worry, Jared, a couple of centre clearances already, but the worry for the Tigers is the first players that are actually in the inside 50 were the Swans players as well. So already we're seeing the work rate from the Swans.
Newman with a flowing kick to half-back. Marriage a great target, and he's done enough.
And you'd expect his form to start slowly getting better and better. He's missed some footy, so he'll be really looking forward to putting another 2 hours in today.
Grundy and Vickery, Hanbury. Richard.
Good pressure here from the Tigers forward line. That's exactly what you want. You know the Swans are going to link up handball, come back into the centre of the ground as they did. And I think it was Jack Rewald who anticipated that and laid a really good tackle. In fact, it was Martin.
Yeah, Damien Hardwick is tagging across half forward here. He's got Ellis going to McVeigh and White going to Malcheski off half-back.
There's Delidio being tracked at the moment by Craig Bird. Worked it back. Pettard. And Rewald comes and kept on coming too, and needed to. Richards likewise. The battle will resume in moments.
Yeah, they've been super important for the Swans of Malcheski and McVeigh. You have to put plenty of time into those two boys and try and curtail their influence, but also put some dangerous players on them.
Well, they've already got one goal on them, with White snagging the first.
Perhaps a little lucky to get away with that. Seemed to come over the shoulder of Marriage.
Oh, that's
Austin in there. Big tackle it was from Jack. Daniel Jackson having an unbelievable season at the age of 27. By far his most consistent and most impact he's had in a season of AFL footy.
Looks like he may be going to O'Keefe. You got Jackson, O'Keefe. You got Tuck versus Kennedy. Two real hard inside players.
Yeah, it's interesting at selection, wasn't it? The return of Tuck.
Yep.
You can certainly understand it against a side like the Swans. Here's O'Keefe with the inside out talk. Tippett just a little off the mark. And Chaplin had position and used it well.
Well, been under fire three times, in fact, now, the Tigers, and each time they've repelled it pretty well. And here's Rance putting the ball into space for Newman.
Out on the wing. Was able to work it over Melchesky. Didn't do any favours for White, who just lost his footing, but was able to win the footy. Kept it in. Clever play. It was touched, but doesn't matter. Alice to White. He's kicked one long running goal. Adrenaline pumping deep to Vickery. Oh, Sticky Vicky there, Jared. As you mentioned, Sticky Vickery today, it was very important.
So what happened there? McVeigh got caught on Vickery there too, Jared. So there was a bit of a mismatch, and it was identified with a nice kick in.
Big news down here, Ruzi. Melchesky's just gone down the rooms. Looks like that shoulder.
Wow, what a start for the Tigers.
Well, they've got some rebound issues now, the Sydney Swans, and that's the fact that Richmond are rebounding out of their defensive area and getting it in so quickly. They've scored the first couple.
Explosive start by the Tigers at the SCG. Marriage, the Swans will hit back hard. They'll try to out of the middle. But again, it's Marriage with some good physical presence. Edwards, Grigg's kick went nowhere. Here's Hanbury. Had the run of it, lost the run of it. And then found it again. And was able to bundle out a handball to Kieran Jack, who angles it up to centre half forward. Pike came hard, was in good position. Well done, Rance.
Now, just looking at both forward lines, Hutto, see Melchesky here. Here's the hit here. Just catches it late. But that's one, Jared, maybe a shoulder, an AC or something.
Yeah, it could be the AC joint. Came slightly behind, but you'd reckon it was the AC joint. And that's just a great bump. That's when the bump is absolutely spot on and effective.
Well, he's in the rooms at the moment, Jared, so they're down a half-back flanker of note, and that gives Damien Hardwick a runner again back off half-back, because White was the man who was doing the tagging role there.
Even though Rance didn't press go there, and they still had some hard runners options for him to kick to, he settled in the end on a revolt. He was able to leap high and take a nice confidence builder.
And he looks like he's pushing up the ground. It looks like they're trying to isolate a Rampe or even Grundy at full forward. So you've got Richards versus Rewalk. Rewalk pushing right up the ground. You've now got Vickery back in the goal square.
Delidio's deep as well, and here he is. Couldn't quite catch it. Marriage. Jackson, if he meant that, it was very clever. Revolt has the shot.
Looking sharp, the Tigers. Their hands are on, their tackling's on, their attack on the ball is right on. But the Swans are used to this. They often concede the first couple of goals. They absorb the pressure. It's whether or not the Tigers can maintain it.
Well, Kingy touched on that 3-goal streak before. I mean, they are very, very hard to score multiple goals against the Swans. They will absorb the pressure of the Tigers.
And there's plenty of it at the moment. Chaplin, as they ring around the 50. Up and under from Tuck. Didn't gain much ground. Mumford, that's a great read. He wanted to get it moving as quick as he could. This is Jed Lamb, who had a career best 19 last week. Was so impressive. Parker cutting back through the middle of the Swans, perhaps. Kennedy sets it to centre half forward, and Brandon Jack.
And his brother, Kieran, was right beside him. He'll probably end up with this, although Brandon looks like he's having a ping.
He's having a long kick anyway. Will it be a goal? It will be, and went all the way. Terrific start for the young man. Now.
Go back to the review. Take the top. Yep. Simsy's there. Simsy's there. Umpire's call.
Score review. Umpire's call is a goal. Please check that it wasn't touched. Cheers.
Go. Go, Stewie, go.
Well, Brandon believes it's a goal because he's already run from the ground. Let's take another look. There's been a couple of these throughout the weekend that have just been classic time wasters.
Kurt Tippet's got him in the nice reverse lock there, so he's done a pretty nice job. But it's actually good effort by Tippett to sort of shepherd it through with both arms up.
Almost did touch, didn't it?
Looks like it went straight through fresh air.
Yeah. Through the gap. Fora. Goal. Met with approval.
And that's where it started from. The chain from the Sydney Swans, some run, a kick, and then the long shot of goal from Brandon Jack gets the Swans on the board.
Well, it's Richmond heading forward. Nick Smith and McVeigh are changing that as we speak.
There's the sweeper, Hutto, as expected, but not a great kick and well read by Rance.
Tuck two. Prepared to handball back to Morris. Now the Swans are swarming. Look at the options for Hanbury. To Lamb first, and then a little kick. In the middle of nowhere, really, as far as the Swans were concerned. Pettard couldn't get it on the boot quick enough. He was trying to find Foley. Gets through to Delidio with the advantage. The advantage is considerable. Revo had different ideas to Delidio. Used Martin. There's a vacant square. He knew it, and the footy went right in the middle of it and through for another rolling goal. He's been a bit inaccurate this year with 18 goals, 25 coming into today.
Once again, Hutto, was a rebound off that half-back line. Poor kick in after a really good smother. Set up what should have been a shot at goal for the Swans. But the rebound off half-back right now is the biggest concern for John Longmire.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. They've just got to use the ball a bit better going forward, the Swans. But the Tigers look really dangerous when they do get it outside and run and use their leg speed.
Let's get down to We'll just watch this kick first from Ellis, and then get an update on Malcheski. Revo. Oh, there's a little hands there. And it's Ted's ball.
He's just made his way back to the ground level here to the bench. Nick Malcheski, some strapping on that left shoulder. No doubt there's been an injection in there, and boy, do they need him down back at the moment.
They do. Richards out to the wing. Plenty of Tigers there. Pettard couldn't quite complete the job. Bolton found a way. Rance was prepared for the tackle. He gets him high at the front. Doesn't matter now. Chaplin's moved it on. Jackson as they enter the next phase through half forward. Grigg stretching out Hooley. So often they combine. High ball again. Vickery the hope for the Tigers. Swans had good height there, but they didn't finish it off. And Foley had time to think about it and still make a bit of a meal of it.
I don't think he knew he had time there. I know he had plenty of time to think about it. Kingy, interesting down from ground level. Looks like that Richmond are trying to hold their forwards a bit and not push their half forwards up into the midfield, into the stoppages. So it looks like it's a real one-on-one battle inside the forward 50 for the Tigers.
Absolutely right. That's because White's going with McVeigh, and we saw before Ellis doing that role. So they're trying to tag across half forward and stay at home, and they're exposing him for speed through the absolute middle of the ground here, Richmond Football Club. It's been a great start.
I think the speed, particularly Matty White, has been superb, and you've got to consider that this Tiger outfit is doing it without Cochin having touched the ball right now.
Yeah, it's a great call, Jared. That was in Sydney like that decision, wasn't it? To kick short to a one-on-one, and they lose it. So Hooley has the footy. Looking through a few options in his mind. Decides to be fairly cautious. Back to Dustin Martin. Tigers with 3 goals on the board. If you've just joined us, Martin, White, and Vickery, the goal kickers. And Brandon Jack, the only one with the major for the Swans so far.
Even if you look inside 50 now, Hutto, we've got a good shot of it. All one-on-one contests.
Well, they manoeuvred it pretty well, the Tigers, to set up a marking opportunity for Revo. And it's over now.
Well, Everett left his man, you can see there, the tall number 13. He left his man to go to the contest, but he didn't kill it dead, and it almost gave, I think it was Floston or Foley, it was, an opportunity to drag it back in.
Richards. There's Cochin entering the fray to Conker. Onto the boot, wasn't a bad effort. And likewise, Nick Smith. Resilient back pocket player takes the mark.
You already got the Swans mids running through the middle. You got Parker in the middle. You got Kieran Jack in the middle.
It's a well-placed ball. So to keep the hands free to Parker to see if he get a handball, but it's by foot. They can do some more damage here. Committed to go. Doesn't know any other way, Brandon Jack. And the benefits now on display for all to see, because it meant that Tippett, who had that little bit of space, was able to preserve the advantage on Chaplin.
It was a good inside kick, and he opens up the angle.
And got it perfectly.
And there's the unbroken chain. And that's just that little kick, change of direction. I think it was Jude Bolton going back into Luke Parker, really changed the angle. So Tigers mids have got to be on their mettle when the Swans get the ball even deep down back.
Touch, you heard the call. Great start from Brandon Jack, who's had a goal and he's played a big part in another. And they're surging, and this is Kieran Jack, careful with the kick. Good target, Jesse White. Has played some of his, well, he has played his best football ever for the Swans this season.
All started off that half-back line with Andres Everett coming forward. He heard the touch call. He didn't try and take possession. He would have been barreled. He just kicked the ball out of fresh air and got it forward. And then you saw Kieran Jack just running so hard. Distance no issue here, you wouldn't think.
He certainly looks a footballer in size and athleticism, and he's showing this year that he can be a footballer at the top level. It's a rollicking start here at the SCG, halfway through the opening term. What a sight, isn't it magnificent? When that gets finished, I think in time for the cricket, Rosie, it's going to be an even better stadium.
Yeah, one of the great grounds to play on when it's absolutely jam-packed. As you said, when that stadium's finished, that stand will be fantastic.
Some great battles in the midfield. It's every player knows that they're loosely on a man. They've got to make the decision whether they go forward or defend.
Bird, Tippett, White's got one. And that's where it stays at the moment.
That last passage of play, I just saw Dustin Martin charging, trying to keep up with Kieran Jack. And he's probably ball watching. All of a sudden, there's a half-metre advantage to Jack, and he exposed it and exploited it.
I think that's the thing for the Tigers mids. They've definitely improved, but certainly the best two-way running midfield of the Swans. So, as you mentioned, Jared, 1 second for Tigers midfield is going to be debilitating for their team.
Yep.
Jesse White again threatened. Mitchell. Kennedy can be so dangerous in that forward 50. Back to Mitchell again. Hanbury was waiting, but he went to Kieran Jack. Unusual to see him fumble like that. Mitchell goes again, and this time it's over to Nick Smith. And in the blink of an eye, the Swans have kicked 3 in a row and are in front. Strongly challenged the Sydney Swans. They've hit back in emphatic style with 3 goals in a row to take a 5-point advantage. Harwich up early. Mumford when it mattered. Got it through O'Keefe's hands. Could have been some holding on there with the Tigers. Hanbury scooped it up to Grundy. Now they can hard the other way. Rampe led the charge. Hanbury joins in. Quick, crisp kick to the diving Parker.
Score play on.
Okay, not paid, so now it's a ball up. Parker argues the case.
And Damien Hardwick's responded by putting Vickery behind the ball, Jared. So, looks like they're playing with one less forward, and which will mean it's going to be hard for them to score because the Swans are very good at freeing up a defender. That might be a McVeigh or Melcheski or even a Tall to help out on Rewald.
Richards and O'Keefe and Jack. Tippett has it in his sights. He was competing in the end with Luke Parker, who feels like he's owed one by the umpire.
Interesting choice of player to put behind the ball there. See Ty Vickery. Obviously, you can do the ruck work, which allows Marrick to play further up the ground. But Marrick's coming down, and Vickery goes about 15 metres out from goal. But often that, or normally that role is given to a mid-sized player, not your ruckman.
O'Keefe. And White again is just too physically strong.
On that was terrible positioning, Jared. Good call, because that was shocking positioning from Tyrone Vickery. He's actually left. He's gone to the wrong side of that contest. A quick kick comes out. He's got to be working with his key defender, and he just was all at sea there, sitting back. Quick kick comes out of the stoppage. That's the classic one that Vickery's got to gobble up and make it 2 versus 1.
Took 3 contested marks last week, Jesse White. He's made an outstanding start here. Tests the goal umpire, but it's through. That's 4 in a row now.
There's the 3 goals plus streaks, and you can see Sydney have done that 34 times this year. Make that 35 now. They have the best conversion in the competition once they go on a roll to making that a 5+ goal streak. Alarm bells right now for Richmond.
Well, this is the test that you talked about, King, of the audit for the Tigers. Can they now resist the Swans' onslaught and start getting back on the board themselves? They've just lost a handle on it for 7 or so minutes. It's been costly, but momentum is all a part of footy at the moment.
Conquered a Pedard. Revolt had to contend with 3 and felt it too. As it hits the ground, it's Lamb first and then Parker.
Getting it out too easy now, Rosie.
Well, that's the danger, Jared. When you have 1 free at the other end, and it's Vickery, and as you said, he's not getting the right positions, which means that the Swans have got 1 free down the other end. Now, if that's a McVeigh or Melcheski, they're going to make you pay.
Parker never quite lost the handle on it. So they're able to maintain possession. Awkward kick from Everett. Tough for Rance, as it turned out. Pike and Kennedy. And a delayed kick from Parker, who's been prominent. This is where Vickery is in a better spot, but still didn't actually get the spoil on. Jack. In fact, it was Marriage, not Vickery, who was back there this time. Jack angles the kick to the top of the square.
McVeigh's on here.
Ellis. And here he is. McVeigh, the skipper.
He went for the all-time miracle of miracles there with the boomerang off the outside of the
But
leg.
that's the game within the game there, Jared. You mentioned we think McVeigh might be the one free now. Vickery was free, Hutto, but he actually got bypassed on the wing. He got drawn out, got bypassed, and Marrick was the genuine ruckman back there sitting in the hole. So this is not working at the moment for the Tigers with Vickery because he's just not getting to the right spots. And here's McVeigh, who will rack him up, and he's a very, very dangerous ball user.
Fires it in again for Tippett.
I think plus at the present time is Delidio is one out in the forward 50. If they can make a break a line here, he should be able to get some space and actually put a goal on the board.
It's taking a while to get there.
Yeah,
That's
had
the
to go
problem.
hard down the middle. They didn't take the punt there, the Tigers.
And they've got to use the spare now and use it to their advantage.
And all of a sudden, Everett comes across and covers the space for Delidio.
Foley for Martin. So the setup's complete. It took a lot longer than desired. Powerful kick
Great
from
kick.
Martin. It's a cracker. Oh, what about that? From downtown. Martin's second goal of the afternoon.
And it's a pivotal battle right now. It's the Sydney captain, Kieran Jack, up against Dustin Martin. And Martin's, at the moment, got control of it because he's got a couple of goals on the board and a couple of more possessions.
Parker to Hanbury. The bomb to centre half forward going nowhere.
Yeah, I like that better. I think that was Hooley off the stoppage there. Vickery's gone back forward, Jared, so...
It wasn't working.
No, it wasn't working at all, not with the big fella. He's not at this stage, not savvy enough to get to the right spots, whereas if it's Hooley free, he's a good ball user and a good runner as well.
Chaplin almost fooled himself in the end and had to kick hurriedly. Bolton kick starts another with Rampe. Driving ball from Mumford. Both players misjudged it in their desperation to get the footy. Chaplin seemed to have it under his command this time.
He'd be the loose if you're going to free one up. He's played loose all his life.
Oh, Rampe, great intercept. And not capitalising now on the opportunity out in the foot.
They'd always used to free him up to be the
Who was that?
architect. Troy Chaplin.
Chaplin, absolutely, yeah. The problem is they're just a bit tall down there at the moment to free him up because they've gone in a bit undermanned, which is Pettard versus White. Then you've got the ruckman, poor kick, then you've got the ruckman, either Pike or Mumford and Tippett down there. So it's hard to free Chaplin up.
Alice with a speculative handball ended up. White made it look good. Martin off half back. Just a little bit of impressive pause from Conker, but now he's going with the forward thrust. Cochin arches the back. And the ball over from Nick Smith, as diligent as ever.
That's the problem there, right there, Jared and Ruzi. There's no easy ball out there at the moment for Richmond. They've been made to earn every possession. They've just wrestled back some sort of control with the uncontested numbers, but Sydney well on top.
That's true, Kingy, but I reckon if you're a Tigers fan, you'd be pretty happy right now that they're back in the game after losing control.
Jack to Parker having some sort of opening quarter. That's his 10th. Up to half forward. Chaplin impacted strongly. Rance. Handball really favoured Hanbury, though, and that's an unfortunate out on the foot.
It looks like, Jared, they might have gone back to even numbers, the Tigers. You can just see both ends.
You look like Conker and Hanbury are running man-to-man at the other end of the ground. You got one-on-ones.
Yeah.
Still going with the midfielder at full forward, Richmond.
Yeah.
Cochin's found his way to full forward now and dragging Smith right back to the goal square.
Hanbury with 11 disposals, but 8 of them handballs.
Which means, Kingy, that Rampe is being running as a midfielder with Delidio, which I'm not sure he's had that exposure before.
No.
Now Pettard backs his natural attributes, but couldn't make the complete getaway from White, so...
Now, Delidio's got to pick up on this, and so Rampe has not got the engine that I've got and burn him and just try and get half a dozen quick ones now and get an influence on the game.
4 disposals from Delidio, but just the 1 kick and 3 handballs.
Here's number 2, or number 5, I should say. I mean, this is a real opportunity for Delidio.
Yeah, it's just got to take him, Jared, you're right. You've got to take Rampe. Rampe's actually a very good runner, but he's got to take him to areas he's not used to. Rampe's been playing as a defender, in his short AFL career. Take him to stoppages, take him and run him all over the field.
Grigg got from Edwards. Now Jackson on that fine line. Squeezed the kick out and it was effective. Matty White can wind it up for the Tigers. Decided not to go. Got Levi in a really tight space.
That's a great kick.
It took the best, didn't it, to get there?
I just like the way when they've got it, Jared, they're actually controlling the ball reasonably well, the Tigers. They're prepared to just slow it down a little bit and hit targets. So it's a good adjustment to their game in the last 5 or 6 minutes.
Kicked a couple of wonderful goals, haven't they, so far?
Yeah.
Whether they can keep kicking goals like this all day, I guess you'd have to question.
Well, when you're on, Hutto, you're on, and these are often the greatest telltales. We've seen Dustin Martin bang one from exactly the same position on the other side of the ground.
Well, Riewoldt, of course, re-signing during the week and showing his long-range skills there. Unfortunately, fractionally off the mark.
If you want to look at what is the way that Richmond is scoring, they've scored 4 goals counter-punching from their defensive half. Now, against the Sydney Swans, that's unsustainable. You need to be able to get some control in terms of scoring from forward 50 stoppages and forward half pressure.
Now, Chesky comes flipping round the back, up to the wing. Good hard yards.
I think it's a good point, Kingy. I think you're right. The Swans' game style is more sustainable at the moment. If you see a 50-metre penalty, because we know the Swans play 2 ways and they'll keep on going. But I think, Kingy, I like the way they've slowed the game down a bit, the Tigers, and tried to hit targets.
Yeah, the game is about uncontested possession at the moment. When Richmond had control early, they put it on the scoreboard. Sydney wrestled it back. Tigers got their challenge now.
Kennedy hits the mark. It was an unbelievably well-weighted kick.
Geez, it was poor by Tuck then. Just watch Tuck. He let Kennedy wrap around and get a handball off, I think it was Mumford, and put a nice kick inside 50. Just got to be more switched on than that.
Tom Mitchell to line them up.
And he's near on, well, one of the best on the ground right now. He doesn't miss too many from this distance, and he's having a fantastic debut year.
Oh, what a brilliant start to his career, averaging 22 disposals. Last week was the first he hadn't kicked a goal in a game, and he's praised that one. Thank you for you, Jared.
It just proves the Moz is still working, Hutto.
He's had 10 possessions, though. He has a big quarter.
Just having a look at the ground, though, I went to the MCG and saw a ground full of red colour on the Tuesday last week. They have responded magnificently to Swan supporters. This is a great full house.
Oh, it's a close game. It's going to be pumping here later. Kennedy gets it deep, a really probing ball. Tippett couldn't quite get his hands to it.
Just a couple of exits from 50 have really hurt them, the Tigers. They've kicked it twice to the ruckman.
Cochin, Vickery had to wait an uncomfortable moment or two. Did pretty well given the circumstances. Martin was desperate to get it back to Vickery. He slammed it on the boot, so pretty haphazard path out of defence for the Tigers.
Yeah, Vickery just had a couple of handball options there, Jared, too, to give it to some mids running past.
Yeah, he went for the big mung and unfortunately had a bit of outswing and straight across the ground. This one also good pressure here from the Tigers, and an open Riewoldt should goal.
He should. Edwards was the one that provided. Had to wait a moment longer than he would have liked, but Foley has missed one so far. Oh, they've done it hard to just stay ahead of the game, and it just got over the line by a fingernail.
So I really like that by Jack Riewoldt then. It was an instinctive handball. I think it was a White running in and had to give it back to him, but at least it was instinctive. He didn't hesitate. As we see it here...
It's interesting, Rosie, because I would have said kick the goal himself.
Yeah, I agree, but what I'm saying is he didn't think about it, so at least it was instinctive. Probably put him under pressure and maybe not the right decision, but Riewoldt's probably been criticised in the past about maybe the body language and being a bit selfish. That was instinctive.
Yeah.
So it got there from Jack Riewoldt.
She's a move through the air as well. I thought Ted Richard had it covered, but he's a factor right now. Is Jack Riewoldt. He's right on his game.
He's kicked 1 goal too. One of those was a long-range poster. He could easily have a couple. Scores a level at the SCG. The Tigers have really settled after the Swans kick 4 in a row. It's a bad time to fall over. Not sure there's ever a good time, but certainly on the defensive 50 is not. And now he's given away a free tap. Hasn't played since round 7, so it's been a while. Mitchell, contact below the knee. He's got to hit a target here in 5 seconds. And Tippett couldn't quite.
This is a free kick here. We look at it. Yeah, I suppose he took his knees out there. It was just the handball and the slip over that created the opportunity for Tommy Mitchell there.
So quarter time, and at the end of all that, there's been 10 goals kicked, 5-3 for both the Swans and the Tigers. Terrific start.
Yeah, great start. I'm not sure both coaches will be liking the offensive style of the game, because certainly the Swans pride themselves on stopping the opposition from scoring, but it's a
too many goals for Ruzi, Hutto. Too many goals in this. 10 goals. It's bad football.
Way too exciting, but we love it. So settle back, Ruzi, and get into it in the second quarter. Stay with us at home and enjoy the action. It's the Swans and the Tigers. We're counting down to September with some huge matches, and this is very much one of them. Glorious afternoon turning into an even better evening at the SCG. Just sit back and watch what is a fantastic contest between Richmond and Sydney. Scores level at quarter time, 5-3, 33 apiece. You can see multiple goal kickers come from Martin and White of the Swans. A couple of ripping goals from the Tigers. They find themselves on level terms. Swans have been inside 50 5 more times than Richmond, which is interesting. Plenty of footy for Hanbury, Parker and Mitchell. And Dustin Martin, one of the stars for the Tigers.
I think so, definitely. I mean, 9 and 2 goals is big against the Swans midfield. So it's a big first quarter from Dustin Martin.
And we're into the second quarter. Mumford and Kennedy and O'Keefe. And the Swans with the first thrust. Tippett had his eye on that all the way, and then he realised that Mitchell was probably better placed to take the mark. And the Tigers were able to close it up.
I think it's also too, I think Mitchell's playing off a half forward. He's had 11 disposals, so the halfback, I think it's Hoole, he's got to really tighten up on young Tom Mitchell as well. So there's a few matchups there that the coaches will be a bit concerned about the high numbers for both teams.
Cochin, dangerous little kick. Just had the 4 so far. And some relief for Richmond fans. Free kick going to Tuck.
Jackson running with Kieran Jack at the moment, but they are moving it around a little bit through the midfield.
Tuck on Kennedy. Bit of a Hawthorn connection there, isn't there? As the ball goes over the line and out of bounds.
Well, it's an interesting matchup, that too, Jared, because we know Tuck's a great inside hard midfield, which you've got to do about Kennedy, but Kennedy probably spreads a little bit better than what Tuck does, so he's got to watch that side of the game, Tuck.
The other interesting one is Conker. You can see there on the back of the stoppage there. Conker on Hanbury, and he's just giving him too much of the side of the footy at the present time. He's a bit of a ball watcher himself, having grown up as a young midfielder. His #1 job is to stop Hanbury. Pay him the respect at the moment. He's at the top of the tree for midfielders.
Temperature's just rising a little here. Kieran Jack didn't look all that impressed. He got a little bit angry. It's going to be very, very intense from here. Cochin, no easy kicks. Kieran Jack, Pike and Ranson, a bit of a muscle off there, and the ball goes out of bounds.
Yeah, really critical matchups around the stoppages. It looks pretty much one-on-one, most of them. Cochin versus O'Keefe there in the middle of the screen. You've got Galidio and Bird on the right of screen. At the back, Jack and Morris. So all areas are covered from both teams.
Good one to Tuck there. Back to the middle. Martin and Rampe. Rampe did enough. Negated and then got it to Smith, who gets it, as you can see, to Melcheski. And now Bird up to take it on the wing. He's had an outstanding season. 22 disposals last week. Lands this one on top of Tippett. Oh, he gave him every chance, didn't he? Cochin along the line.
Jerry, just having a look at the forward 50 for the Swans. Jesse White's got Ricky Paddard on him at the moment. He's just not charging to the goal square as often as you'd like, because you will get hold of him with his height advantage in the goal square if he can get an opportunity.
Yeah, he's got most of them on the lead up to the ball, but he has got that opportunity to work in both ways.
Just staying out at the moment, isn't he? There, you can just see him at the bottom of the screen, Jesse White. The ball flies in towards full forward, and here he comes, and Tippett the other way. And Tippett takes the mark. It's
always coming into this match, it looked as if it was potentially an Achilles heel for Richmond. The fact that you've got Kurt Tippett and Jesse White, who's in great form, and he loves the J curve, it looks like.
And through for another one. The Swans in front now. Slow motion replays can show some funny things, can't they? Jesse White was flying in, looking like a full back rather than the centre half forward. The sheer weight of numbers into the 50 is going to be difficult to contain.
Well, once again, like they did last week, Hutto, they're starting Jesse White up on the wing, which is opening up the goal square. And he actually got a number of clearances through the centre last week.
Foley and Jackson. The initial handball was good, the second one not so. Foley had to try and start again. Vlosten works it back. Jackson tries to angle the left foot kick. Marriage could sense someone was coming, and that someone was Mumford.
So Mumford looks like he's working right back to his best fitness and form, Rosie.
Yeah, there's no question about that. Over the last couple of weeks, he's looked a lot fitter, and he's certainly running. He's a really good runner for a big fella, and when he gets on his skates, he's hard to catch. So Merrick's going to have to be right on his medal and Vickery today.
Cochin was flying through, but it's Nick Smith. Again, composure on display.
A number of the players have gone to ground. That was just, it looked to me like Lee Park had slipped himself rather than being tripped, but the boy was closer.
So Parker heads to half forward. Chaplin is there to try and spoil Conker on the ricochet tuck. Conker again to half forward. It's Jack versus the rest. And if he gets a 50-50 out of there and gets it out of bounds, he's won. Swan certainly getting plenty of numbers there. Great night to be watching here at the SCG.
Rizzo, I noticed that both Tippett and Mike Pike were going for the same ball there. What's John Longmire's thinking there?
Well, I think a lot of times they really just want a contest out of their big guys just to bring it to ground rather than getting outmarked. So I think you will see at times the ruckman, either Mumford or Pike, running into Tippett or vice versa. But as long as they bring it to ground, it's a good goal.
Questionable handball. It's a great snap.
I'd like to see another angle on that one, Hutto. Looked like a three-pointer. It's going from a shot outside 50, but it might be wrong. He might have got the little clip with the fist, but
they do miss some these days, as Jared alluded to. Out of the middle, Martin shapes the kick. Revolt went to ground. Good stuff, though, from Cochin. Made a contest of it. That's what they need. Now Everett going hard the other way for the Swans. And Conker not letting go. And Everett didn't fool the umpire. At least that's how he read it.
Jack's one-on-one, Vickery one-on-one. He's got the break, used the dummy, but he wasn't ready.
Slipped over for a moment. He settles on Revolt. Can he get a run at this? I don't think he's going to be able to quite get there. Keith to Melcheski. Tigers and Swans locked up early in the second quarter. Bolton, now they can click into gear. Mitchell, powerful kick to half forward. Mumford kept on coming. Didn't get a great bounce. It's not over yet, though. Jack, Brandon, through it goes to Hanbury. He went to ground. This is Kennedy arcing around. Back to Pike. He spotted him there. 3 Tigers are on the job as well, and they sort it out between them. Marriage back to O'Keefe. So often we see that standing up in a tackle, getting it to Mitchell. Crowd willing this one back. And it's through for another terrific goal. Caught for Ruzi. Here's another look.
Well, he had his fist closed, I reckon, so it looked like a throw, smelt like a throw, but it was a handball.
All right, out of the middle. Normally that fulfills those two categories, Jared, of course. It generally is. Here's Cochin through half forward. Spin from Delidio. Just check his numbers. He's had 6 disposals so far. Into the 50. And away. McVeigh, Rampe, Foley providing nuisance value there. White giving everyone a bit of a crack at it. Alice waited a long time. Revolt made his move and very nearly gobbled it up. And now it's on Sydney's terms.
It's a great battle. Jack Revolt and Ted Richards is a fantastic battle.
Oh, there's some great one-on-ones around the ground. Tom Mitchell, he has been an outstanding player, and as we've talked about often in his very short career, he's right up there again tonight. Bird bungled it out. Oh, that's an errant handball from Parker. Now White's got some issues, and he's caught.
A lot of quick kicks coming into both forward lines. Not a lot of easy possessions through the middle of the ground. We see another one here. Just a lot of long bombs. So both sets of defenders are going to be under enormous pressure.
Oh, Kieran Jack just burrowing through and putting it through. What an amazing bit of play again. So Jack puts it through. Last 2 goals for the Sydney Swans. Tigers on guard here at the SCG. They put 4 in a row together earlier. Foley, here comes Hooley flashing through the middle, but his kick didn't go too far. Smith shut it down quickly. Now the runner, Jack. Wobbles one. Tippett had to change direction. Vickery on the spot for the Tigers. Got some issues. Moved it quickly.
Vickery's, once again, it looks like 2 goals in a row, Jetta and Richmond put someone back. Vickery's gone back again in this quarter. It happened in the first quarter. I didn't think it worked out well for them, but it looks like they're doing it again. Just stopping a run on it, and there's good theory behind it, but the question is Vickery the right person to do it?
They're just winning too much contested footy, Jared, in their forward 50. Sydney forwards are 115, Richmond defenders 10.
Oh, McVeigh went for gold all the way and very nearly achieved it.
Well, that's why they're just bombing it in. They're just playing their game right now. And I don't think they're a long way on top of the Tigers, Kingy, but they're on top enough for Damien Hardwick to be concerned to push Vickery back. But I mean, I think right now you'd be saying the Tigers aren't far off the mark. It's a question of whether they can sustain it against the Swans, who we know can sustain it.
Inside 50 count, 25-17. Richmond have a break, but nowhere to go for Greg. Probably had to try and come up with something else there.
Well, I mean, would have been a tough kick, Jared, but he had Delidio sort of inside the corridor. Just that lack of vision perhaps there, just blazing away.
Yeah, and it's hard to be critical of Delidio, but I look up and say you've got to get in harder. You've got to get into that forward line quicker. And this is the issue. Can they sustain the two-way running against this powerful midfield that the Swans have displayed for so long?
Delidio.
This is what they did well in the first quarter, Hutto, just slowing it down. I don't like that by Delidio. Slowed the game down, then all of a sudden he quickened it up again by getting a cheap handball around the back. So you've got the game, the momentum's going the Swans' way. You take the mark, Jared, and you slow it down, then you get a little, cheap little wrap-around handball. I just don't like that.
And the Swans fans wanted that play, but he didn't control it, so good decision from the umpire.
Pike. Martin. Hassled out of it. Bit of ping-pong. Bird.
Great smother by Koch and the captain.
He gets it back from Conker. Delicate little kick for White. 3 Swans to try and counter. Head down from Hurley. Careful defence from Malcheski.
Just watching the running patterns of both midfield. When the Swans win possession, their midfielders charge forward. They really put the Richmond midfielders to the sword, whereas Richmond are starting to get a little bit lateral, waiting for that easy kick sideways instead of really putting it to the Swans.
And that's the evident difference at this from above here, Kingy. You can just see that one group is still working as hard as they did in the first 3 minutes. It looks like the Tigers are just having a little bit of a rest at the present time. They haven't been blown off the park, but they've got to get the next goal or so.
Swans lead by a game-high 13 points. Mumford brought it to ground, and he goes again. And he goes again. Bird back to the wing. Pike and Rance have a wrestle. The ball doesn't reach them because Jude Bolton intervened. Some numbers for the second quarter. Look at the way the Swans have been able to.
Kicking efficiency 90% to 44. As I said before, a lot of quick kicks coming out of these stoppages.
This time was a quick handball initially. Hanbury, quiet second turn. Runs out of bounds in the full.
But that sort of number, Ruzi, would suggest that the Swans are handballing it out of stoppage and getting an easier kick, and the Tigers are probably kicking it under pressure from those mongrel stoppages.
Yeah, it's a bit like what Kingy was saying before. I mean, the work rate from the stoppages of the Swans is just a little bit greater, which means that this kick in from Tuck, I mean, that's just a wasted kick.
Mumford takes the mark. Had some initial handball options.
So if you're coaching the Tigers right now, Ruzi, what's your theme? What's your message if you could get the runner out to everybody?
I can get the runner out.
Oh, Jesse White. Sorry, Ruzi.
You're right, it's worth a shout. Don't worry about that. I would just get them to slow the game down like they did in the first quarter. Make the Swans accountable. Chip the ball around. I thought they did it really nicely in the first quarter, and they wrested control of the game.
And he came crunching down too. Did himself a bit of a disservice in the end, but almost produced a beauty on the wing. Now, Mumford. This is a real test for the resilience of the Tigers here. Edwards, Revolt, didn't like where it was going, and he might have given away 50. He's not careful.
I love that Jesse White leap, Jared, because I think he's, as the third tall, he's waited for the other two key posts to go rather than setting himself for marks.
Well, here's this running, Kingy. You're spot on with Jesse White, but they're ahead of all the Tiger players.
Bolton's made a really big charge right from one side to the other to take the mark.
Yeah, great call, Hutto. That's the difference Kingy mentioned before. Jude Bolton's work rate was far greater. That's a poor kick, but Jude Bolton's work rate, Tommy Mitchell's work rate to get over the other side of the ground, and that's the problem the Tigers face if they're going to beat the Sydney Swans. You've got to continue your concentration, you've got to continue your work rate for 120 minutes.
Early launches out to the wing, and Mumford.
Well, once again, it's a long bomb to more reds than yellow and black.
Everett. Tippett didn't get it. The two Tigers fight for the spoil amongst themselves. Daniel Jackson full-chested paddling towards the line. We knew his intent there. And he gets it over and out.
There it is here. You look at the camera. Look at the run through the middle of the ground. You've got Jude Bolton at the bottom of the screen. You've got two midfielders going through the middle of the screen there. And, I mean, Rance does a really good effort to get across, but that's the difference when you play against the Swans. You have to work at 100% effort 100% of the time, Jared.
Yeah, the Comcam never lies, Rosie. Always shows the work rate.
So 13 points is the margin.
They're doing a lot right, Hutto, though. You've got McVeigh's still on 7. You've got Malcheski on 5. So their pre-game planning for the Tigers has been pretty sound. It simply is a matter if you can carry that pre-game planning throughout the whole game.
Evolt flew, but just couldn't drag it down. Richards, his direct opponent, and O'Keefe having another big day to half forward. Well captured here by Parker. Now the next one, we've seen some long goals from here. This won't be another, but Tippett, oh, he was just about able to take it, but not quite.
Well, it was really good defence by the Tigers to get back and get it through. I think it was Pettard, Ricky Pettard in the finish, playing below his weight or height. Did a good job.
Again, Hula to himself to gain the extra 10 or 12 metres. Now Revolt needed to take that. Couldn't quite for the Tigers. Grundy hassled enough.
The other challenge, Jared and Ruzi, is that Rance and Chaplin haven't left the field yet. They've played 100%, sorry, of ground time. And at some stage with these high balls coming in, there's going to be some fatigue creep in.
Yeah, good point, King. I was just watching Rance then. He got caught on Jude Bolton, so he's now playing on a running half-forward midfield type. So he will get tired if they don't give him a rest.
Vickery just scoping out what's ahead for him. There's not a lot down the ground. Hence the decision to find Martin. Can they work the switch?
Well, they've got this set up now.
Yep. Martin's
a good decision maker, and he's got to hit a target, which he has. Basher can get up and go on the left foot and get it in quickly.
Martin came again behind him to receive. He's going to try and use at least his presence and then change the angle up. Down it goes to half forward. Ellis the man in front. Doing the negating roll on Malcheski. Vlosten got a bit treacherous there for a moment. Back it goes again to Martin, the standoff. It's a bit slippery. And he's gone in the end.
Well, too many of the players on both sides getting done for the boots at the present time.
Slipping over. A lot of players slipping over. But once again, Jared, there, I just felt that Richmond had it under control, and then a play on, obviously the game goes up tempo again. I just would like to see them just hit some targets and spread the Swans' defence around.
Again, the slip and the slide, and Ellis misses the mark. Malcheski takes it. 7 minutes remaining. And the switch is certainly on for the Swans now. Hard running, being done ahead. Hanbury's going to drive his way all out to the wing. It wasn't a really well-placed ball for him. So it made life difficult, and it helped Newman get back onto it. Hanbury careful with the tackle.
Good running there from Jackson.
It was.
A 3-on-2 situation.
Oh.
That's dangerous.
That is dangerous.
Jared, I think the game really is the running patterns of these midfielders. Again, you can see the mids of Sydney charging forward. And Richmond looking to go lateral and get possession rather than damage.
Yeah, it's just work rate, Kingy. I think that the Swans know they've got Richmond's measure through work rate, so they're going to come up with another plan. Maybe slow it down so they can re-energise a little bit, because if it turns into an athletic event, I think they're going to get beat.
8-5 to 6-3. Twilight footy for your Sunday afternoon and evening with two of the real contenders, certainly for top 4 place The Tigers could come up with an upset here, and it is hard going. You can see it on your screens. Here's McVeigh angling the pass for Tippett again. Chaplin in the right spot. Needed help, and it came. Floston first. Again, Morris. Now the Swans start the swarm. Tuck. Cochin lays the tackle. Kennedy. Eventually Parker with a little bit of liberty. Just enough for him to get it onto the boot. Clips the post.
Well, it deserved a goal because that was one of the all-time A-grade handballs from Josh Kennedy. It was a feign, and then he ducked backwards to the recipient, who was Luke Parker, who finally kicked the goal. Hopefully we can get another shot of it.
Newman angles the pass out for Tux. Always been good above his head. And now Cochin with a careful one to Revolt. Can he link up cleanly? Can. Cochin keeps coming. They're all covered ahead. Only he had Jackson to his left, Edwards to his right. So it's inch by inch for the Tigers, trying to zig and zag his way through. Cochin for a third time and comes up with a reasonable pass. Ellis was just slightly underneath it, and it's out.
Well, got to reset now. Let's have another look at that handball from Joey Kennedy. This is a feint handball. He goes one way and then the other, and opens up the left footer, who opens up the shot at goal.
So it's just been a little quiet period as far as goals are concerned. Matthew White trying to change that. Forced to give up with the handball. That one's a throw.
Need to look at Richmond's forward line at the moment, lads. They've only taken 2 marks inside the forward 50. Do they go with speed? Do they go with tools? It's a real problem when you look at the mismatches that Sydney are able to create.
Sydney have kicked 3-3 to 1 straight for the quarter. Inside 50 is pretty much level. Mumford tries. Oh, Hanbury's just come on the ground. Perfect opportunity for him to get involved in the chain, and involved he is. Kennedy for Jack, for O'Keefe. It's a vacant square. They've still got the extra. Great resilience and effort by Vickery. Held them up for a moment. McVeigh had a free swing at it and went for it.
And Brandon Jack's got his hands in there. You'll be careful when you do that to the skipper when you've only been around for 3 or 4 minutes, but he had a case that was worth arguing.
Once again, work rate though, Gerard. You saw that the Swans mid started with Kennedy running, went into Ryan O'Keefe, and then you got McVeigh off a half-back flank running into the forward 50. So there's no question at the moment the Swans are outworking Richmond, and this is what I want to see them do, just for a little bit, just to control the football.
The lead is 16 at the moment. Alice. Floston.
Keep your eye on Malcheski for Kingy. I'm not sure he's going at 100%.
Take that big knock to the left, to the right shoulder, I should say. You can see the strapping there. He is winged.
Yeah, it looks as if he's carrying it a bit.
They've got to try and get him back to the goal square. Try and see if he can exploit the weakness.
Greg with a careful kick, so they're maintaining possession, not going too far. Conker. And Edwards in his sights.
Well, this one goal makes a massive difference here, and that's the sort of mistake that has got to get out of the Tigers game if they're going to be a powerhouse in September. Let's have a look at Malcheski. Again, he lands on that. Yeah, he got some issues there, but he'll probably have to carry that for the next few weeks.
Mumford in the tangle with Marriage once again. White avoids the Hanbury tackle. Jammed it on the boot. You can hear the call of the umpire, so he had to react quickly. Richards saw off one, saw off a second. Suddenly they're at half forward again. Hanbury will let the big man Pike fly. Floston did well outside, but it didn't worry him. Shrug of the shoulders and a quick kick. Jesse White seems to have this covered. He's got teammates. He could have used Lamb, ignored him. Kicked it up inside 50. Tippett, was he tunneled a little?
Well, that should be a free kick, I would have thought.
Jesse also getting some advice from Jed Lamb as to why he didn't handball. A little bit of tunnelling there, but got away with it.
Tippett stands on the top of the goal square, and the ball comes down to Lamb first of all. White got himself into the clear, and it's a pretty good kick away. If they can get it over the line, it'll be a big win. In fact, even better. Revolt had a moment and
well done.
Did an excellent job to get boot to ball. Good, strong resilience shown in defence from Grundy.
And this has been a significant factor of this quarter, and that's the marks the Swans defenders have taken in that particular defensive 50 area. To be half a dozen or more.
Rampe free-flowing out of defence. Hanbury, Cochin right with him every step. Jack wants to get it back to Hanbury, and now he can. A fumble. Hanbury just slightly off his game. He's a bit frustrated there.
They just need more out of Vickery, Gerard. I mean, you identified him before the game, but I know that's not a great kick, but it's just like Rewald's working really, really hard up the ground. So if Rewald's going to be outside 50, they need someone else in there to be able to take a mark. And I think Vickery's the one that just really needs to stand up for Richmond to take the next step as a football team.
Yeah, you've got to get sticky with those hands down in that forward line. And you're against the Grundy, working up the ground, working back. Ball doesn't even necessarily have to be in your area, but
do you consider pushing Revolt deeper, Brucey, or they can't afford to do that?
Well, yeah, probably. I mean, obviously you know that he's a goal kicker. I mean, I think that ploy's actually working. I think their structure with Rewald's been good. He's providing him a real contest, and that's why I think, Vickery needs to provide something to that setup. Pre-game, obviously, Hardwick's gone in with that philosophy, and I like it. They're tagging the half-backs, Melchesky, McVeigh. That's working. The missing link is the Vickery not getting on the scoreboard, taking marks.
what about you, Kingy? Your thoughts on where the scores are coming from?
I'm just having a look at Richmond. They've averaged 40 points per game from stoppages across the course of the season. They've so far kicked one behind from stoppages. So, for me, the Swans have put them to the sword where they're strong, and they're struggling to find an avenue.
Everyone was confused then. They thought it was a Richmond free. It means the forwards line's a fair bit more open than it might have been otherwise. No problems for the Tigers. Chaplin started it, and now Martin's going to be pivotal here. Through the middle, he keeps running. Tuck ignores him. Had a longer option, a better option. Alice. Martin eventually takes it. Now the run is provided from Hooley. Half forward. He's on the brick here. Does he go for it? He summed it up, and then he went long on. It's a free. Not. Yes, it is paid.
There's a reasonable shove.
Now, he play on then, Richard.
Well, it was an interesting decision by Basher Hurley because he had a couple of shorts to go with.
He did, and he could have also given Jack a bit more of a chance to have a jump at it, because so it was really a nothing kick from Hooley then.
I think he might have had the big sticks in his sides.
Yeah, you're right.
Boston. That's
They're looking better here, the Tigers.
Yeah.
Just on the last minute or so, they've got an opportunity, and one goal here makes a massive difference.
Yes, Brandon Ellis is going to go back. 7 goals, 4 for the season for Brandon Ellis.
Geez, you're going 10 points down, Rosie, after the Swans have had control of this quarter. Yeah. You would be, in some ways, relieved, in some ways enthusiastic that you've taken a lot of shots from the Swans, and there's an hour of footy to go.
It'll take his very best, and it's only a minor. So instead of being 10, it's 15 points is the gap between these two sides.
Yeah, here's the kick here. It's just a Rewald. Yeah, a bit of a shove. Probably didn't need to do it in the end. I mean, he actually got closer than what I thought. So he may have. And there's Teddy. Looks like he's just played on. So, but even at 15, Gerard, they've probably dodged a bit of a bullet. It looked like the Swans dominated hard of that quarter.
Well, let's get to our half-time break. The Sydney Swans lead by 15. It's a massive challenge for the Tigers, but they've really come to have a crack tonight. They certainly won't be giving it up. Look at them. They're ready for action in the second half. We'll be back shortly. And you can see Bird just starting to tack on the end of him now as we start this second half at the SCG. And Jesse White comes in, has an impact off the wing, and it goes straight to Tippett. What a start for the Swans.
I just don't know why you'd actually go and man up Jesse White on the wing. Jesse White's man should be back in defensive 50, just sitting in front of the key position player. There's no point. He's not a genuine midfielder, Jesse White, but he will be able to just do that, get it and kick it forward, and all of a sudden you've got some space because they've dragged him out, and they'll start with a first goal, you would think.
Well, it's over to Kurt Tippett now. He's got 2 goals, 1. It's 2 goals, 2 now with a minor.
I think they're the little things, Gerard, that make a difference. You just got to identify what the Swans want, and they want you to drag them out. So don't give them what they want. Sit back off Jesse White. Let him get the ball up through the midfield.
It's Lydio with a long kick in, but it's coming back again, crashing in hard. Chaplin, O'Keefe for a moment. Pennard as well. Vlosten kept it moving. It's in Jackson's hands now, but not anymore. He's gone. 12 disposals today. His kicking efficiency just 38%.
Ryan O'Keefe's up to 21. He's had another outstanding game.
He's had a brilliant season towards full forward. Tippett, he saw Bolton, but it ends with Bird, who got himself almost a line to goal, but just misses. So a couple of behinds to start. Sydney
As we
Swans.
just said, is on Delidio. They're the ones that could really cruel Delidio. And you see one of their best midfielders now taking the ball from full back, which is fine if he gets on board through the middle of the ground. You want him getting plenty of possession between the arcs, not so much as deep as that.
So Alice. Lamb was trying to corner him, but he gets it up to the wing. Grundy with the spoil. Now Foley.
Good stuff there from Vickery. Makes a contest, brings it to ground. Now they've maintained possession.
Conker, careful handball. Went somewhere in between his two teammates. Cochin round the corner. Nick Smith has pole. Good work from Newman. Kept it alive for the Tigers. Hunting down hard was Foley, looking for a free, but that's a pretty decent effort from Richmond to get it out of bounds.
I think that's been a big difference, the big man impact on that release kick. You can see Mumford's taken 3 contested marks so far today. They haven't had the same for Marrick or Vickery yet.
Revolt's back in the goal square. You can see him right at the top of the screen there. One-on-one with Richards. Swans now get an extra back.
Yeah, but so that's the difference. Vickery goes up to that stoppage. The Swans aren't worried about Vickery at the stoppage. And all of a sudden, Grundy sits back in front and double teams Jack Reward. At the other end, you got White coming out and his opponent coming out with him.
Beautifully hooked in by Grigg. Opportunity for Richmond then. Conker. Didn't quite see off Melcheski, but didn't give it up either. Floston to Jackson. He's coming again. Revolt comes up, then doubles back, then goes to the pocket. Not sure. Foley for Vickery. Should take it from there, but Grundy not to be denied. Not on his watch. Got it away. They chase hard again. White just couldn't escape. You've got to love these Swans, the way they go about
That was just brilliant defence all around. Grundy getting back. It was a mark that was always going to be taken, but it wasn't. And then that snaffle, that great little tackle there on White, who looked as if he was headed to goal as well.
Nick Smith to half forward for the Swans on the counter. Probing ball knocked away well by Hooley. Pettard there, and the Swans close it up. 17 points remains the margin.
Just little subtle differences in the game. Vickery, put your body up, okay, and take the mark. Don't let Grundy get back onto that contest, and that's a mistake by Vickery.
Knee in the chest.
Yeah, just a little slight nudge. Good key forwards mark that football.
McVeigh. Careful Pike not to put the hands in the back. Bolton flashing through again. Parker, quick kick to squeezed it out. It's out of the full.
They have had opportunity though, Ruzi, on counterpunch here. Foley had a really good opportunity charging inside the forward 50. When they can get that handball over the top, Richmond's speed is a factor.
Yeah, it was early in the game, Kingy, you're right. They need to keep... That's the mix between just chipping the ball around and going when you've got some time and space.
McVeigh. He was about to go along and he saw Tippett coming.
That was a great effort by Pettard.
Read it really well off the boot. And it's pretty slow on the out, but that's okay if that's the instruction.
Hooley. Had to work hard, big marriage. Takes the mark, just his 3rd disposal coming out. Up to the wing, Revolt. Richards had him where he wanted him, really. Couldn't get any momentum in jumping for the footy.
That tackle would have been stuck had it been a Swans player. Matty White just had to bring that ball to ground. He had Nick Smith where he wanted him.
I think it's a good point, Joe. You're absolutely right. They're again, the little things are the difference in this game. Richmond are going pretty well. Their pre-planning's been good, but the little things in the game, the missed tackles, the missed mark from Vickery, the spoil from Heath Grundy, that's the difference in the game at the moment.
Delicate pass. Lamb, we saw him last week. It was terrific over in Perth to the top of the square. No O'Keefe, but yes, Tippett.
If we see that vision again, Hutto, if we look, there was 5 Tiger players that could have got back and impact that contest, and we're all standing around about 15 metres away from where Kurt Tippett and Ryan O'Keefe contested the ball. 15 contested possessions, and
hard to win. Yep, when those numbers are up there. Here's Revolt. Tigers maybe need just a flash of individual bridge to get a goal on the board and stop this charge that the Swans have mounted and have dominated early in this 3rd quarter. 9-9 to 6-4 now. It's out to 23 points. It was level at quarter time, and even midway through the 2nd, the Tigers were either level or within a goal for plenty of time. Rance with the switch to Chaplin.
And this is just the test for the Tigers. They're certainly not without a chance. They're doing a lot of things absolutely spot on. But this is where you mentioned, Jared, I think just they're better players. Here's one of them, Cochin. Deledio does need to get in the game. Here's what I was talking about before, Hudder. Here it is. If you look just outside there, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's Marrick there. There's Jackson there. I think that's Deledio as well. And all of a sudden, they couldn't get to that contest. That's the effort level that they need to bring in order to beat a team like Sydney Swans.
Oh, brilliant from Martin. Brought it open and got some space for Grigg. Thought about the hand, but gives a great chance for Revolt to make. He just had to stick, and he's hurt himself a little here.
Well, you mentioned individual brilliance. We saw Dustin Martin involved earlier, but this bloke, they've moved him forward. I think you suggested that as well, Ruzi. Moved him deeper. Maybe Vickery's got to go into the ruck and they take Marrick off, who's not working, and throw Arnott on. Do something a little bit slightly different to match their running power, but it would be a gamble taking one of the rucks away. But this bloke, we know, is a match winner, and he can slot this and get them back into the contest.
Well, he needs a clear head here. I'm not sure he's got it because he really went thumping into the ground. But it's all about the execution. The mark was outstanding. The kick is just about there to match what the Tigers needed. The Tigers got from Revolt.
Well, it puts Vickery into the ruck, and Ivan Marriage is having a rest at full forward. Something a little bit different, but it means that Vickery has now got to get some midfield impact.
Kick 4-4 against Sydney last time. Jack Revolt averages 2 goals a game against the Swans. O'Keefe, he was handcuffed there, almost a free. Now Jack.
Yeah, just Jesse White threw at it. Just tried to shepherd there, so he was a little bit unlucky, but it did hit Cochin high there.
Could be a dramatic change here, certainly in the surge of momentum. White with the feeding ball.
I like White coming off the half-back line. He can break a line.
Now Hooley takes it out wide, but that's okay. Daniel Jackson, all the time in the world to think about this. And his kick just misses the mark.
Anytime there's speed involved, Richmond are a chance. They broke from that last stoppage with speed and real dare. You've got to challenge Sydney. And I like the move of just taking some risks off a half-back flank. Delidio's gone back. He's now back in the midfield. But White, I think, is a great move by Damien Harvey. Keep the speed in the game.
Well, Chesky. Jesse White decided to paddle it down. Smart play.
Did that well.
And it really opens things up now for Kieran Jack. Collects the thoughts and, well, didn't really do much for Brandon Jack. And there's Alex Rivich. Pretty easy on the cross half-back.
Yeah, this is a good kick. Open up the Swans here. They're just off the bit at the present time. There's an opportunity to get a couple of goals.
Just held them up in their tracks for a moment there, so no clean break, but that's a beautiful kick. And Revolt, who came just at the right moment, couldn't help but take the mark.
Well, the two speedsters have got the ball, and that's one Foley and the other one was Matthew White. It was a nice entry. They controlled the ball across that half-back line, got somebody forward, centred it, and set Jack Riewoldt up, who led really well from 15 metres out from the square.
So 2 goals, 2 for Jack Riewoldt. This is for his 50th goal of the season. But that matters not. What matters right now is that Richmond need to put consecutive goals on the board. It's a little purple patch here for the Tigers. So 50 goals for Jack Riewoldt for the season. And Richmond, more importantly, trail now by just 10 points.
Would Ted Richards prefer to play at centre-half back or the deepest defender? It would appear as if...
Yeah, centre-half. I mean, he's more of a traditional centre-half back, but I don't think anyone likes to play at full-back, Jared, if you had the choice.
Edwards the handball, Mumford though. Now McVeigh kept them guessing, kicks to centre-half forward. Jack takes the mark. A couple of tall, big bodies deep. Could have gone for Pike. Pike will get there and does mark.
And the runner straight out to Brandon Ellis. Yeah. And I suspect he's saying, you've got to stay with McVeigh. He's the sweeper. He's been the one who has been able to get off the chain here, and this is what results.
Very rarely, Jared, do they have 3 goals in succession kicked against them, the Sydney Swans. The average, they're the best in the comp, averaging just 1 a week, and this will stop the bleeding from what Richmond have put to them in the last 10 minutes.
Once again, it's over to Mike Pike. He's been a terrific goal kicker for the Swans this year. That's his 20th goal for the season.
You're absolutely right, though, about this. You see the scores from stoppages 4-4, but you're absolutely right about Ellis. That all started from him, Gerard. McVeigh's a really creative player. Your pre-game planning is about stopping Melchesi McVeigh. Just a little lapse in concentration, and that's all the Swans need to kick a goal.
So plenty happening at the start of the third quarter. Jackson involved again. Rampe hitting hard the other way. Just caught them napping a moment. For a moment, Lamb prepared to take them on. Shrugged his shoulders, get it to Kieran Jack. Swan surging again. Jack, he's got another one. What a player. What a team. The running power of the Sydney Swans, led by that man, Kieran Jack.
You know what you want to see when you're playing the Sydney Swans? You want to see one of your midfielders run one of the Swans midfielders down from behind.
Yep.
And if you could get 2 or 3 of those tackles, all the better. But it's just a significant sign that you are in the contest.
Jackson, Revolt, Vickery both there. Revolt looking for some high contact. That's not the way the umpire reads it.
I think it's a good point, Joe, because you'll see the Swans midfielders running the other team down, and that's when we talk about two-way running midfielders. The Swans are two-way running midfielders, one of the very few in the competition. And to take the next step, guys like, I think Cochin's actually not bad at it. Cochin actually does it quite well. But guys like Delidio, Martin, etc., they need to be the ones that are running the opposition mids down. Like Kieran Jack there, that would have been a good point. Someone from Richmond runs him down when he runs into goals, because that'll happen the other end with the Swans players.
Marich crashing the pack. But Pike the first to recover. Parker smothered. Back forward, you could hear the call, and Jack was quick to respond. Up bouncing around to the wing. McVeigh interfered with.
The one thing that it's showing to me, Jared, is the gap's not that big. We're talking about a 22-point margin at the moment. Richmond are right in this game. They can keep the belief and keep the faith. Rewald's starting to get some form. Their speed's still impacting. They're right in this game. Yeah, I'm with you, Kingy. I think that they're not that far off, but they need their best players to start playing at their best. Too many of their guns, their ball spreaders, if you like, or their ball architects like Newman off half-back or the wing, Delidio, both of whom haven't touched the ball in this quarter. They've got to get hot.
Oh, and it falls for Jesse White, and he's confident now. Runs it in and kicks behind.
He could have given a little handball over to Ryan O'Keefe there too. So one of the mistake from Jesse White. Well, it's a fine line there, I guess. You know, you're running into open goal and
just crooked the post, did it?
I don't know, did it?
Must have.
It was a bit hard to tell from that. Come back to it because the Swans had a little opening there. Smart play from Dustin Martin. Now Austin had to dig deep. Again, that effort from Jack was wonderful, but Richmond are able to control. Martin's right in the thick of things at the moment. Away they come. Grigg to half forward. Jackson had to hold on for dear life, then decided just to be idle for a moment. Didn't want to rush things. Nothing he liked. Had to handball down low for Conker. Back to goal here, so hard to adjust for Foley. Was able to just sneak it through towards Edwards. The moment's passed for the Tigers. A quick look, let's see if we can see any postage here.
Here's a chance for the Tigers here, as we see. They must have clipped the post. Here's a chance for the Tigers. They've got to take advantage of these stoppages. There's some dangerous players here. I mean, Swans are quite disciplined, but you've got to make guys like Edwards, who hasn't been heavily involved in the game, a small forward, dangerous players got to start to get involved.
Chesky, Bolton knew he had to react quickly. He did. Everett to Pike.
Much better from Delidio there, Ruzi. That's the run from behind, the tackle, and then the hand out. He's not starring at the moment, but he's still contributing in that area. That's forward 50. He needs a lift from everybody else.
What about at full forward? What about Delidio going to full forward, boys, and see if he can actually have 3 or 4 meaningful possessions?
Well, I reckon Jack Rewald's working there, Kingy. I wouldn't change that one, but across that half-back line or in and around the ball, I think that the full forward spot's the one they've got covered.
Oh, Revolt, so close. Grundy. And Jack's sore and doesn't want to get up right now.
Got to press this one up now. The Swans are away early, but they've got to cause a turnover.
Bit of a standoff. Nick Smith forced onto the right. High ball. Rance. Pike almost drags it down. Slapping it forward, and again, Jack's off and running. Gathering it up. charging forward. Jesse White leads back up at the footy, and he can give if he wants. He's got Swans left and Swans right.
Oh, this is not good, Ruzi.
They had McVeigh running in.
This is not good. You've got to get back and you've got to have a look. And Mark McVeigh, he's got to let him have a shot now.
Yeah, he's not happy,
Give
Jared.
the sermon later on.
Yeah.
He's got to kick the goal now, Jared. That's it. Simple as it is.
Now Jesse White, he's a big, big man with a powerful kick. And it was never in doubt. Or was it?
It's a goal.
I think it's a goal.
It's in doubt, according to the captain.
Cross the line for a goal. Can you just check? Yeah, I thought so. Score review, please. Goal umpire believes it's a goal. Just want to check that it's not touched. Inside of the line. Ball hit it.
Seriously, Ruzi, that's what the goal umpire gets paid to do.
Yeah, no, you're
He's
right.
got the best spot. He's got a much better spot than any camera. Get beside the line and tell us whether or not it's a goal. Back yourself in. The umpire's been doing it for 100 years.
It's great vision, that.
I'll tell you, wasn't a super effort from Marek. I don't know whether he could have touched it, but
You're both holding in. It's a contest, Jack. It's a contest. Because you're back, both swinging on each other, swinging around. Yeah.
Review completed. Umpire's call.
All clear goal.
Just got the little shoulder from Grundy. So the Swans lead by 28 and they're surging again. Mumford in a fight with Rance. He knew where Rance wanted to take that.
We've touched on it a couple of times. The Tigers aren't that far off. It's just those little tiny things.
Yep.
Jack Rewell's probably very, very stiff. Not for the first one with Richards. I thought that was a fair contest, but he did get clipped in the melon on the way past by Grundy. So it's just the little things at the moment that are making a difference in the score.
Kennedy for Bolton. He tried to sort it out, but couldn't.
And go. And spread Tiger midfield.
Yeah.
And that's a dangerous, dangerous kick. Parker, Alice, Pettard. You can see what was going through his mind, but couldn't hit the target.
So that's the problem there, having Vickery as the loose. He's not going to give you any run when he gets the ball, so you've got a free player back there, Hutto. He marks it and he stops and he kicks, whereas at the other end, if it's a McVeigh or a Melcheski, then they're able to run and carry the football. So he's in a good spot then, Vickery, but he's stationary and just hits a short target, misses, and the Swans have got a chance again.
Kieran Jack, Vickery got a big fist to it. O'Keefe went first. Bolton second and O'Keefe. He get rolled.
Well, that was pretty instructive, the vision behind when Vickery took that mark. Didn't look to be a lot of guys charging up,
you're right.
making some space, creating opportunities for others. So, I mean, this game is certainly winnable by the Tigers, but it's in their hands.
Well, everyone's in defence at the moment, even Jack Revolt.
This is why they're number 2 in the competition from scoring from stoppages, Sydney. Forward 50 stoppages. This is their forte. Richmond need to stay strong here, need to find a way to get this ball out of the danger zone.
Chaplin came over the top. Parker. Lost it out to the wing. It's because, and Delidio there. Goes to Nick Smith.
That's the little frustrating things, Kingy, about Delidio there. I just watched him, and he allowed Nick Smith to get in front of him just too easy. You mentioned about him going forward, which is not a bad thing, but he's got to win that contest and impact the scoreboard when he goes there.
Big Swans were lining up again, but it's Richmond with an opportunity on the way out. Vickery took a long time, and now it's McVeigh versus Alice. Hanbury joins in. No free kick. Couldn't get a clean possession. He's having a word or two to the umpires. Dan Hanbury.
You'd love to see Vickery call one of his damaging half-back flankers back to where his positioning's been the last 2 entries. He's been in the right spot, but he's the wrong player.
Yeah, agreed.
Parker, Pike. Again, the Swans swarming around, making life very difficult. Loston.
I've lost him a lot, Ruzi. He shows a lot of potential, but he's kicking it to a 2-on-1 situation, which is making it pretty hard work on the 2 Tigers down there.
And the extra just to their advantage perfectly, wasn't it? Now Melcheski can set it up, tracks it down eventually. Works back onto the left. And it's a bullet of a kick. and Bolton was brilliant, cutting right across the front of the pack. Jude Bolton with the handball, a little questionable for Tippett. Back out for Mitchell. Again, they find a left foot, Craig Bird. High ball to Lydia. Now, he does. Didn't have a long target. Oh, he's kicked it somewhere in between. It wasn't bad. Rance takes the mark. They can work Conker now. And he's got nothing ahead. Revolt really busting a gut to get there, but Richards was always 2 steps ahead.
This is a great battle, Ruzi. Richards won that one, but we know that Revolt's kicked a couple.
But that's what you mentioned before, Jared, about that work rate of the Tigers. Really, a Tiger midfielder need to be running into the space in front of Rewald rather than Rewald having to run 100 metres from the other side of the ground. And that's just the little things in the game that, as we talked about, are making a big difference. Just the ability of the Swans midfielders to work both ways. The Tigers will learn that. They're a younger group, but they're just getting outworked both on the offensive and the defensive side.
Grigg and Martin collaborating together. Again, it's up to young Vlosten. Powerful boot, but again, they're outnumbered. Rance intruding from defence. It was a wild old shot, really.
Worth a crack.
The Swans have made their substitute guys. Brandon Jack off the ground. And Cunningham, who is a real wild card, a real spark player. I think he's a fantastic little player for the Swans into the game.
Bit of keepings off deep in defence.
He's got good speed, and he certainly could impact in this game.
Here's Delidio. Did well. Onto the boot it went. Not in the picture. In fact, he's on the bench at the moment, so it's up to Dustin Martin. And again, it's not a bad effort from Martin, really. Swans, well, I was going to say taking no chances, but decided to keep it in. McVeigh.
Looks like it went over the middle, huh?
Did. Finds Kieran Jack. It's level numbers ahead, but the Swans are going to change that with their powerful running. Cunningham will get it. Here he is, the sub. Number 7. They're bolting forward. Bolton, speaking of Bolton, inside the old man. Well, he sent it up to Jesse White. He'll come over the top, Jesse White, and take another big mark.
And that's the exact opposite of what we talked about the other end. With Jack Rewald having to be the target, it was Jude Bolton that was the target. A half forward coming back in, midfielders of the Swans. Kieran Jack got the release kick. That's not happening with Richmond. So again, it's just the work rate of the Sydney Swans that are destroying the Richmond midfield at the moment.
Jesse White lining up for his 4th goal. And what great opportunity he's had with the injuries to Reid and Adam Goods. And he fires this one through. The Swans lead by 34 points.
And there's the marks inside forward 50 there. There's the goal. So they're just working really hard. A lot of those marks from the Swans forwards, but also some midfielders running in and half forwards running back. We saw Cunningham getting involved as a sub there.
Cochin, sleight of hand to Lydio with a thumping kick.
He just seems to lose confidence to Lydio, Jared, doesn't he, when he gets tagged? It's like that one there, you pin your ears back, you have a bounce and you have a shot at goal, you know. But again, he just rushes it. When he gets tagged, it just seems to be a mental barrier for him. He really struggles to overcome.
Yeah, it de-energises him a lot, but sometimes we saw him absolutely rip shreds. I think it was in Fremantle, not 2 weeks ago, but earlier in the year. It might have been Adelaide when he was challenged in the newspaper to fire, and he did. He was BOG a mile. He was hard tagged and blew him away, and that's what he's got to bring to the table more often, particularly in these big games.
Yeah.
As we head towards finals footy, because it's going to be part and parcel of his life until he becomes a player with a walking stick.
Jack Revolt has another opportunity and a very big kick coming up for Richmond here. With the Swans dominating this quarter, they've increased their lead from 16 to 33. Jack Revolt, though, has been something of a lone hand up forward. He's kicked 3 goals too. This is his most important kick if they're going to stay in the fight. Just going to drift away. And no mark there for the Tigers. So they are going to need something very, very special in this last quarter. And the Sydney crowd stand and yell and just show their appreciation for what was another magnificent quarter of football, Ruzi.
Yeah, absolutely, no question. Look, they're not far off the Tigers. We've talked about it. It's just the work rate and how professional and what they do. They do things very, very well. The Sydney Swans are a very, very disciplined team.
All right, three-quarter time, Sydney 13-10, 88. Jesse White with 4 goals, Kurt Tippett with 3, and Jack's got 3 for the Tigers. We were 8-7-55, and the gap now 33 points at three-quarter time. Three-quarter time at the SCG. They're a mighty side, the Sydney Swans. They lead by 33 points. Again, they put their foot down in the third term. But there's another quarter to go, and Richmond are certainly learning all the time, David King. This is a really big test for them in this last quarter. And when we look ahead about how good Richmond are going to be in the future, how good they are this year, how they perform in this last quarter, could be crucial. Well, a couple of quick goals early. Maybe they can put some doubt in the mind of the Sydney Swans. Delidio is back in the middle of the ground. Looks like he's, at least for the moment, manning up on Kennedy. And Cochin's able to escape. Smith and young Arnott, who's on the ground, had it knocked away. Cochin hurried it under the boot, revolt, and it got through to Vickery.
Well, he's really got to kick this goal, Hutto. He's just struggled today. He's at an interesting stage of his career. He's certainly got some talent, but he needs to now start stamping himself as an AFL player. So this is a really critical shot at goal. 23 years of age. He's in his 70th game. 15 goals, 16 for the year with his one today. And he's lining up now. Ty Vickery, you can see what's ahead. Is it going to hold its line? I think it has. Great start for the Tigers.
We're going to a bit of review here.
Going upstairs again, are we doing?
Score review. Umpire's call is it's hit the post and therefore is a behind. Please check.
Umpire's arm's getting sore from doing the TV sign.
Well, when you introduce goal technology, it's always a concern that the umpires are going to lose their nerve and continually go up. That looks like it's hit the post, but the umpire has got to be in a better view than that.
Review completed. Point.
Just wait for the signal. All clear. Just wait.
I agree with you, Jared. I'm not sure you're going to get a better view than a guy standing under the goalpost. Unless there's a camera inside the goalpost.
Well, he said he thought it hit the goalpost. Well, that's good enough for me.
Yeah, I agree.
If it's that marginal, get on with it.
And there's Mike Pike doing what he does best, taking some contested grabs.
I think in some ways, Ruzzi, the ones you want to stop are the howlers, where the bloke upstairs stops the play and says to the goal umpire, you better take another look at this.
Yeah, the other way around, I agree. Yeah.
Chesky was that picked out Troy Chaplin to half forward. Rance. So it's an aggressive mindset for the Tigers with the defender running forward, trying to create some opportunities. Bird resilient for the Tigers. Up it goes. Chaplin, Tippett.
Good tackle. Took one arm as well, did Mitchell, and got up for another effort.
And yeah, went again, went really hard. Tippett threw it to himself. Bird off the right this time to full forward. Here's Jesse White having a little day out as Jesse. He's going to, he passes. But Moody was in. I thought he might have gone back and had a shot, but that time it was good choice.
Doesn't take long. I think Jared McVeigh would have read the rule book to him at three-quarter time. He would have said, look, here, line 9, if in doubt, pass it.
Tommy Mitchell's the beneficiary.
He is this week. Last week he got the same lecture from Nick Davis.
That's exactly right, yeah.
What goes around comes around. And Tom Mitchell has done nothing to damage his reputation this afternoon. His 19th disposal is his second goal. And it's quite a statement from the Swans today.
It's going to be interesting just to see how they go about selection. Pettard's been a good inclusion to the list, but they left McGuan out. They've left Ashbury out, and there you can see Mitchell's 18 disposals, and he always gets involved in the score, Tom Mitchell. He's an elite young player. Soon, hopefully, for the Swan supporters, to be an elite senior player.
We'll come back to that selection of Pettard, or the non-selection of the third tall in a moment. Jared McCann as the ball is over the boundary line now. It was the choice, do you think, because they wanted the extra run because of the coverage the Swans made? I mean, to go in knowing that they're going to have, as we see, Shane Tuck as the sub, it's a bit of a risk, isn't it?
Well, I'm not sure where they see McGuan at the present time. When he left the senior team, he was basically as the third tall in the forward line, not as the defender. He's been tried down in the defensive area. and they've clearly said, no, we don't think he's the answer long term. Not sure about Ashbury, but Pettard has got the opportunity. But he's up against a big man. He's a really big athlete, is Jesse White.
Kieran Jack to the square. Jack out of position this time. Rance, who seems to be on him now, to Chaplin. Able to break the tackle. And into the clear for the moment. McVeigh, though, is going to track this one down. Had good support from behind. Nick Smith, now McVeigh. Accelerates away. There was Swans waving their arms everywhere at the top of the square. And there they are. Parker. Somehow he got clean bowled. And now Chaplin finds Delidio. Cornered. Has to revert back to the goal square. Chaplin turns on to the left. It was a little dodgy.
Hutto, just getting back to your previous point about the third tall back, Richmond are desperately waiting for Dylan Grimes to have a reasonable run with injuries, because he can be that player, an intercept marker. He's much along the Alex Rance line, that he can win his own ball, but he can defend as well, and he's just been struck savagely again with injuries this year.
Yeah, good point, Kingy over the back. Comes down to Ellis, back out to the wing. In pursuit was Conker, but it's out of bounds.
I think also, Kingy and Hutto, if you don't have a third tall, you've got to go in with some other defensive mechanism. You can't allow that to dictate, or you can't allow the other team to dictate to you. That's the thing that's surprising, that they haven't really had a defensive mechanism to cover for it. So it's been tough for Pettard. Now, whether they've got the player to play as the third tall or not, obviously that's up to them at selection, but you certainly can't allow Jesse White the access that he's had to the football.
Crowd of just under 30,000 here tonight. Plenty of satisfied Swan supporters at the moment. They lead by 38.
What's your thoughts on playing Delidio down there if he's going to be tagged? So he just blocks up some space and nothing else.
I don't mind him playing as a half forward, and then he just comes up and plays behind the ball. I mean, he's done that before, but as you can see there, the defensive mechanisms, you're losing the stoppages. You've got no one. You've got no one back.
Don't give it away.
It's been a really hard night for the defenders of the Richmond Football Club, because they're a bit undersized, but they also haven't had a lot of support down there. Occasionally they've put Vickery down there, but he's struggled to get in the right positions at the right times. And you start to lose the stoppages, the ball goes forward quickly, your defence is under pressure. But again, it's just the work rate and the professionalism and the setups of the Swans. You've got to give them enormous credit.
Right now they're running away with this to make it 44 points, and Lamb joins in with another.
And there he is again, making his point that perhaps he's going to maintain his spot, and you'd reckon he'd be pretty good in spring, Lamb. 44 points of difference.
Cut them up there, that's for sure. Now Malcheski. High ball. Mitchell with a big lead. That's one aspect we haven't seen from him so far, the big skyscraping man.
Might want to leave that in the golf bag, Gerard, that one at this stage of his career. Tommy doesn't have everything else right, but maybe the hang is not something he wants to try at the moment.
I think Jared McVeigh's got a bit of talking to do to a couple of players at the end of the day.
Now Chaplin got a little bit of a headache here because Jude Bolton was bearing down. Life didn't get much easier for Dustin Martin, who tries and tries again. Rance cleared a few out and he was able to thread the handball to Martin.
Good player, this bloke. He just makes the right decisions.
23rd disposal from Dustin Martin. He's worked hard. Takes it again. Back through the middle, trying to thread the needle a little bit there. So he has to go again and clean the mess up, which he does to some degree. Could have been high. Hooley. Now the Swans turn to chase a little. Oh, Edwards had to release it quickly. Boston ran around it. Now he gets it back. Conker. Under the fumble. Give to White. They work the perimeter of the 50. And settle on Alice. And he stares it down and hits the post.
She's had a bit of a workout, that.
Exactly what we're talking about, Jared. That passage of play there is the game in a nutshell for me. Richmond, it looks ragged, it goes lateral, it comes back in the middle, lateral again. They eventually get an opportunity that just needs everything to go right against the great sides. And it's not going to stand up in finals, that sort of brand, but they learn a few things today.
Keith to Jack.
Yeah, I think both individually and collectively, and here's a bloke who's been giving lessons for a long time.
Oh, Jude Bolton.
I think you're right, King. I don't think anyone expected Richmond to press for, as ever see John Long. I don't think we see anyone expected Richmond to press for a premiership or top 4. So the stage is where they're at the moment. They've had a terrific season so far. They've certainly improved. They'll have a good look at this tape, the coaching staff, and realise what's the next level of where they've got to get to. And that's sort of some of the stuff that Sydney do well. They struggle now, Richmond, to get the ball out of the defensive 50 because of how disciplined the Swans are on the defensive side of the ball.
Kennedy eventually. So many doubts going through Tiger minds. This relentless effort of the Sydney Swans. Jackson. McVeigh knocks it over.
Going to be hard to beat the Swans this year. There's no doubt about it. That's the bottom line. They've done this to a lot of sides, not just Richmond, over the course of the last 2 years. And when you think of Reece Shaw and Sam Reid and all this talent to come back in, they're only going to get stronger from here forward.
Adam Goods as well, of course.
He's pretty handy.
Worth a mention, I thought, King, anyway.
Lewis Cheddar, he's another one. I mean, they've got talent out of this team that's it's actually going to be a problem for them how many they bring back on limited preparations.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a problem for the blokes with the limited preparations, because at the moment the blokes doing the jobs aren't there just because they want to give someone an opportunity. They are effectively really playing great footy, like this kid Rampe, who's come from nowhere to be a significant player.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to force Jesse White out. Tom Mitchell, a Lamb, we can see they're getting involved as well. So certainly the players at the moment that are playing for the Sydney Swans Football Club are doing the roles very nicely.
Bolton just outside the 50. Has a look at Tippett, has a look at Cunningham. Settles on Mitchell. We could go to O'Keefe on the half volley.
I think Jude Bolton probably illustrates a bit, Jared, where this team's at. I mean, what a luxury to have a 300-plus game genuine midfielder playing pretty much as a permanent half forward. And you can see Jude's work rate is a midfield work rate, and he's up to now. You know, what's he got now? Jude Bolton. He's got 16 possessions as a half forward, as a small forward, because he knows how to work as a midfielder, and that's the luxury that John Longmire has got at the moment.
Well, it is the difference, and I think it's probably the blueprint for what you'd want in today's footy. They don't have the small forward, if you like, and they don't have 2 of them. They don't have 3 of them. They have as many midfielders that they can get in the side, and if they've got too many, they stick one on the half-back flank like Jared McVeigh.
You're right. If you're a half forward now coming up through junior footy, you'd be worried about where the game's going, because the Swans don't really play small forwards. They play genuine midfield types, and it's the teams that have those small forwards that tend to be languishing, you know, from sort of 8th to 15th, Hutto, on the ladder.
That's a good point.
I think one thing, Hutto, that both coaches will look at, John Longmire was certainly pleased that he's played the 3 tall forwards, yet they've still been able to get 11 stoppages or reset second opportunities to score in their forward 50, where Richmond have had that smaller mix-up forward that you talk about, Ruzi, yet they've only had 5 stoppages. You need to get more opportunities than just the pure play.
Roston. Tough ask for him that time. There's a Tiger down. Is it Vickery?
I think it's Vickery. Yeah.
Chaplin.
He doesn't look well.
He's dispensed with there. It's out of bounds.
As we look at Vickery, again, King, that comes back to work rate we're talking about. And his injury here just gets pushed out the way, and it's just a bit of friendly fire, a glancing blow from O'Keefe or from Newman from behind. So it didn't look a lot in it, but it looked like the stretch is coming out.
They hit hard, Ruzi. They hit really hard. And that happened right in front of me, 10 metres from me. And just the clash of bodies there. I think sometimes we undersell how tough these players actually are and where they position themselves. It's hit him flush across the back of the shoulders and the back of the head. Real concern for him here.
Oh, this is just an all too familiar sight at the moment.
Yeah.
I know we're trying our best with the rules to limit it, but it's, gee, even over this weekend, we've seen a lot of collisions to the head.
Yeah, that's just a genuine, 4 or 5 guys going for a pack mark in the game. Jared, I think they've been pretty good. They've been okay. It has just been the little things, the discipline of the Swans, but they don't want to get blown out of the water now.
No, I think that's the point. They've got an opportunity after a break. Often one side will kick multiple goals.
Martin takes Richmond to half forward. Outnumbered here. Nicely scooped up by Pettard, who's Pushing forward, Jackson waited till someone was there, and the someone was Cochin. And he hits Reeve.
And that's a good decision by Daniel Jackson. He could have blazed away, but the Swans had the wicket-keeper back in the goal square. Didn't want to risk it, and the same issue with Cochin. He would have had to blaze away on his left foot, so he opted for the high percentage option, and that was to give it to a bloke who genuinely can kick it.
So he's lining up for his 4th of the afternoon, Jack Reeve. I'd say he's just a little under in terms of the chance to kick the goal, and so it proves.
I think that's also the running, Kingy, you were talking about. That's the running you want to see from the midfielders. Cochin was at that stoppage, and instead of going sideways, he really followed up that ball and ran forward of the football. That's what the Swans mids do. So that's a good running pattern from Cochin to get back involved in the game and then to hit Reward up on the lead.
Sometimes you learn more from your losses, Ruzi, than your wins.
Yep.
And I think that they'll learn valuable lessons. It'll take them forward not only this year, but next year, seeing that this midfield here, they're senior, they're good, seasoned bodies. They've had multiple pre-seasons. They're able to run like we see them today. Richmond just not there quite yet.
No, that's right, absolutely. If you had an ISO cam then on Ryan O'Keefe, that was a really relevant point. He ran from back line all the way to forward, wrapped around to get that mark, and just the ball fell short. So that's the sort of running that they'll learn from.
But he's probably done 10 pre-seasons, 12 pre-seasons, where you're talking about Conker and Ellis who've done, 1 and 2.
Yep.
So the ball over the line, 44 points is the margin. And it's Sydney, one up their 100 there. Happy.
It's a young Swans fan there. But again, just really key stoppages here. Richmond setting up out the back, getting some results.
I said they don't have a youth policy at Sydney. To full forward, Rampe takes it away. Jared did open the door for bad jokes early on, just trying to follow suit. Ball out to the wing, Rance. Now White tries to shake off a couple. He conquered 1.5. And here's Harry. Cunningham gets it to full forward. And nice mark taken in defence by Newman. Alice. Hooley. Needed, a precise kick was needed. It was only a centimetre or 2 off, but that was enough. Now we're going to have the umpire's intervention on the wing. 4 goals to Jesse White, 3 goals, 2 to Kurt Tippett today. How's his progress going, do you think, Rosie? Kurt Tippett?
Yeah, look, I think they'd be happy. It's the way they play. They're not relying on Tippett to kick bags of 6 or 7 goals. As we've said today, you've got other midfielders chipping in. You've got Jesse White kicking 4. You've got Pike that's going to go forward and take a mark. So I think he's playing his role nicely.
Tom Mitchell again. Possession number 23.
We've got all the tools down there now. He's got 3 to pick from.
There's a go. That's it behind. 7 minutes 45 remaining. So Foley in the back pocket for the Tigers. Oh, and it decided to keep on coming. They've regretted that pretty quickly. Just fashioned some sort of kick up to the wing. Morris and then Gloston. Everett. The aggressive.
And that's what you talked about earlier in the day, Gerard. Running down. Richmond not running. There's Everett running a Richmond player down. We haven't really seen that much from the other side of the ball. And that's how hard the Swans work.
No, I think it's a big indicator. It's going to happen for the Tigers, or they won't reach the levels they want to reach.
Grigg took that advantage, sends it to the square. Rampe had to wait. It's over and out again. Lead extended to 45 points at the moment for the Swans. Another very powerful display. They've still got to contend with Geelong and Hawthorn on the run home. Amazing to think that they could be battling for a top 4 place. But Fremantle have a really good run.
Yeah, they do.
Here's the next 4.
Yep.
Bulldogs, those 4.
Yeah, St Kilda, then Geelong at Geelong. So
And then Hawthorn here to finish off.
Yep. But, I mean, they're going into in really good form, so that's all you can really ask. And they've played well against those sides clearly in the past.
pretty
Richards.
handy last 2 weeks. You come into the finals on the back of Geelong and Hawthorn.
Is that what you want, Jared, do you think?
I think it's not a bad option.
I think they
it's
did
happened
last year from
beforehand,
memory, didn't they? Yeah.
Yeah, they had the big one against the Hawks up here, didn't they? And they had Geelong, they went down to Skilled Stadium, Simmons Stadium, as Martin pokes it in.
They've done that a little bit better in the last quarter, Gerard. Just a few little nice, lower their eyes kicks inside 50 that'll put a bit more pressure on the Swans defence. And I think Kingy touched on it before. They'll learn a lot from this game. They'll go over this tape, the coaching staff. As I said, they've done a lot of things right. But just to be the absolute best team in the competition, they've still got a fair way to go. And they would know that.
Daniel Jackson kept up with his season average of around 22 disposals. Missed a shot earlier. And this time he's on the mark. He's shown the ability to kick some goals this year too, Daniel Jackson, importantly. Some running repairs there on the boundary. Margin back to 39 points. Mitchell floating it from Mumford, looking for reinforcements. McVeigh out to the wing. Change of direction from Bird. Chaplin into the right spots.
They're down some numbers on the bench. We've got Vickery in the rooms with concussion. We've got Tuck substituted out of the game. Peddard's got some sort of groin problem. And Glastoon's off with the blood rule. So there's no rotations for Richmond at the moment.
Yeah, I reckon we saw Peddard pull up really lame in that last one in the forward pocket about 10 minutes ago. He grabbed at his leg when Jesse White took that mark.
I think it's a groin, Jared. I think it's like an adductor right up high in the groins there. There it is.
Yeah, there he goes. He's grabbing it. I reckon he grabbed it. Get it for you. Means it's a soft tissue injury that suggests it's a couple of weeks minimum.
A lot of plaudits for Andreas Everett, that last effort. So the Swans still doing all the team things right to the death here at the SCG.
Yeah, there he is, petted there. Just did look like he pulled up a little bit lame after that attempted spoil on Jesse White before.
So the margin 39. We're down to the last 5 minutes. We talked before the game about any weaknesses for the Sydney Swans other than having to try and work out what their best team is. Jared was a bit concerned that maybe if they copped an injury to one of their key defenders, that might be their Achilles heel, but it's hard to find too much else. As Delidio screws it back.
Well, with 12 sort of 15 genuine field types, you know, you can cover some weaknesses, and I think that's what you see with the Swans.
Well, I'm looking if they play Hawthorn, for instance, and you've got to cover Buddy Franklin, you've got to cover Roughhead, they may play Hale down in the forward line. All of a sudden, if you lost a Ted Richards or you lost Grundy, then they'd be hoping that LRT all of a sudden gets back into this side. The one bloke who's a lot taller than he plays is Andreas Everett.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, look, they certainly wouldn't want him, and the injury gods haven't been that kind to them this year, but their midfield's been intact, and that is their biggest strength. So they've been able to cover some other areas, you know, with the injured players that are out at the moment.
Their top 6 average disposal winners have all played every game.
That's right, their midfield. And we see again, once again, you look at O'Keefe and Hanbury. I mean, it's really a case at the moment, if one doesn't get you, someone else will. If you look at the numbers, you've got 29 O'Keefe, 24 Hanbury, Jack 24, Mitchell 24, McVeigh 23, and it keeps going on. Kennedy 21, Parker. So that's what's happening against the Swans at the moment. They're so deep through the middle of the ground that they are able to cover the injuries that they have to other players at the club.
So Jack, Mumford, Mitchell, here's Martin. He's been probably Richmond's most damaging player today with 29 disposals. Great acceleration back there, Dustin Martin. High ball, White might get another opportunity here. No, Alice tries to deny him, and deny him they do. White, who started the game running with full of vim and vigour, kicks this one back out to the wing. Bit of a tangle. Jack goes to ground. Conker did his best, and they got it through to Edwards. Just staying slightly ahead with each handball. He brings him to a halt. Dangerous kick. Brett Delidio frustrated.
Yeah, he's had a tough day, but look, at least he's worked his way. He's up to 21 disposals. I mean, he hasn't had a super effective
It's on behind the ball. It's on behind the ball. Jackson has upended Grundy. It'll be a free kick downfield.
They can ill afford that sort of stuff. Richmond just a free goal at the end of the game, but Delidio's at least worked his way into the game, Jared. He hasn't been super effective, but at least he's continued to work, and he's up to 21 disposals.
It's impact, though, at the end of the day. He's their impact player. He's got to be hitting the goal line or creating the goals. And I think he's just got to take a different mindset into this issue of being tagged. He's got to see it as a compliment and then make him energised by it rather than seeing it as an anchor.
So here's Jed Lamb. This is right.
You just wonder whether he's got a genuine plan just on that, Jared. It doesn't appear to. You look at the back there, and it's Jackson and Grundy. Not a lot in it early, and then the jumper. I don't know what's going on there, but free kick for some reason. But yeah, it just doesn't appear to have a plan, does he, to work his way through it?
Well, I think the coach and the player have to get together and say, OK, this is what we're going to do in this set of circumstances. But if we need you to stay midfield, if we can't shield you, if we can't put you on the back flank or put you in the forward flank, this is what our expectations of you are. And give him something that's pretty basic so he can walk off and tick the box. And if it happens that he can add 10 possessions a quarter and get best on the ground, well, that's the positive. I think the easiest out for that is to come into a game like this and say, Delidio, you're playing on Daniel Hanbury, and turn him into a run-with player. That would be the way I'd go forward with Delidio.
Well, there was a period there too, a couple of years ago. I remember he played on Brendan Goddard and tagged him and did a really, really effective job. So it's something he has done throughout his career, and that's play on the opposition's best mids.
Big kick, open them up, out on the wing. Mumford took a little while to gather it up. Gives to Hanbury. He can surge here. Will he think about it himself? He does, and he doesn't.
I think the issue for the coach is if that means you have to play a full back or play in the back pocket or play on the back flank, well, so be it. Yeah. But that's the way forward for this club. They've got to get more players than just Brett Delidio, because if he gets tagged out of it, they lose too much momentum.
Here's one of them, Jared. I think Brandon Ellis and Conker, those two that just combined then, I think they can take them forward as genuine midfielders that can seriously run, but they're 2 or 3 pre-seasons short of being anywhere near the midfield they're up against today. Yeah, and I think Floston as well. I know you think he's more a half-back type, but that's the sort of player we're talking about, a half-back that can play half-forward or go into the centre bounce if required. It takes a long time to build a tank, 2, 3, 4 pre-seasons, to be able to match it with the very best, but it's a process that the Tigers are now midway through.
Down to the last minute here at the CG. Marriage. Here's O'Keefe. Parker spinning through. Rampe's in there somewhere. And he's penalised. So Shane Edwards. Work from Marriage, but Jesse White wins it back for the Swans. Hanbury still running. They started with the chain of handballs. Everett, they skip through on the angle. Hanbury calling for it at centre half forward. Everett's going his own sweet way. Passes beautifully to Bolton. And he's played on. And now he's got to deal with it. And deal with it he does. There's a little cherry on top for the afternoon from Jude Bolton.
Well, it's a combination of recruitment and development. And you lose Alex Johnson, sadly for him and for the Swans, as their key centre half, well, key rebounding half back. And they slot this bloke in that they took a punt on 2 or 3 years ago. They started him up the forward line, didn't quite work. And they pushed him into the back half. And he is now enjoying probably his best year-to-date, Ruzi.
He's in outstanding form, isn't he? His last 5 or 6 weeks, but that's just scary when you see a guy who we don't talk a lot about all of a sudden explodes through the middle of the ground, and we can see it here. And then great vision. I thought he was actually going to have a shot at goal and he was going to burn Jude Bolton, but
that was the best thing about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
He still had the composure
at the end of it to hit Jude Bolton, and then Jude nearly played on and kicked one around the corner. So just you can see the talent level that he's got.
So bring on September. We have got at least three sensational teams, and this Sydney Swans side is definitely one of them. A 47-point reminder to a top 8 side here at the SCG. Such a wonderful combination, a powerful midfield. They've kicked 16-14, 110 to defeat Richmond 9-9-63. These guys are good, Jared.
Well, they're more than good. We know they're the premiers of last year, and they've got half a dozen of that premiership side missing. In fact, more than that, and yet they're playing as good a footy. In fact, probably playing better footy at this time of the year than they were this time last year. They're up against a pretty handy mob in Richmond, and in some ways I'm a bit disappointed in what the Tigers did show, but I think right now we understand more fully where Richmond are at, and we understand where the Swans are at. They are a genuine contender with some players to come back in, and they are probably a much better chance at winning the flag in July this year than they were last.
Down to David King.
Thanks, guys. I'm down here with one of the stars of the show. He's in a good patch of form at the moment, Jesse White. Congratulations on today and your recent month of football.
Yeah, thanks very much. You know, it's good to get back in the senior side and play some good footy and a good role for the side, so really enjoying it.
What about the start of the year, during the off-season, when Kurt Tippett's name's bandied around, they actually acquire Kurt in the off-season? What went through your head then? What were you thinking in terms of your role and where you were at?
Yeah, first of all, I thought it was going to be tough for me, but I just had to think about strengths and what I could bring to the side. And, you know, we've got a lot of tall guys in there now, and just trying to bring my speed and athleticism to the game. So that's what I thought about, and it's coming off. So
Made a real niche for yourself today. That forward line seems to be working. Adam Goods will come back in a couple of weeks. Do you have to move him up into the midfield, or what will be the message there?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to wait for that. But yeah, I'm really enjoying my footy, so it's good.
What have you learned off Kurt Tippett? And I know Sam Reid's another one who's going to come back into this side, but what have you been able to learn off Kurt over the last 6 months?
Just how to play the defenders, you know, moving around and getting them offside, and just his strength. And for me, I've got to use my strength. So it's it's been a real key for me.
Really powerful win today. Well done. Go and enjoy this one.
Cheers, Lon. Cheers.
He had 10 score involvements today, Jesse White. 14 disposals, 10 score involvements, and 4 goals won.
What's interesting, I think, is Kingy mentioning Adam Goods. And Adam Goods, I reckon, many years ago, toyed with playing at centre-half back. Perhaps he is one of those players who could come back in and play a defensive role, Ruzi. I know he probably would rather play as a high half forward or as a midfielder, but I guess circumstances may dictate.
What's going through Damien's mind now, do you think, Ruzi?
Yeah, it's an interesting time of the game. I mean, you're coming up here hoping you're going to challenge, you know, one of the best teams in the competition. Equally, you know you've got some deficiencies, so it's a really important time just for him to gather his thoughts as he's going into the rooms, just to talk to the players. Look, I think you've got to be reasonably positive. In what's probably not a great day, but there's a lot of positives to come out of it, and you just gather your thoughts and make sure you're analytical after the game.
OK, we'll head to the break. We'll get back here shortly at the SCG. Swans have done it again, 16-14, 110 to 9-9-63. To 9-9-63, and you can see the final scoreline. And Jesse White once again pivotal with 4. Tippett kicked 3. Revolt was a bit of a lone hand up forward for the Tigers. They didn't have enough. Martin was good with 2 goals and 30 disposals, but the Swans got the job done again.
Yeah, just weighted numbers there, Hutto. You can see O'Keefe 30, Jack 26, and the numbers go on. 26-26. Cochin was good, and Martin played a good game, and you see the ladder there. Swans firmly in third, Jared. Not a devastating loss for the Tigers. I mean, they're still very much in the 8, and they've got a bit better understanding of where they're at.
Probably kills off their chances of playing top 4, which was talked about prior to this match. So now they're all about getting a home final and avoiding Fremantle or Port Adelaide. So they've just got to get up enough wins to finish in that 5th or 6th position. In the second half of the ladder, it's all the Blues. They're the ones that are nipping at the heels of the top.